All right, you guys, podcast time. We got the equipment and the perfect business plan. Give our show away for free and tell no one how to find it. Ready?
Welcome to another episode of the Brand X Podcast. I am one of your hosts, John, alongside me, Deuce.
Come stop, bitches. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Now, we did put a show out on New Year's Eve. Matter of fact, it went live at 12:01 New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So I had it all set up to go out that way, and it dropped. And it was the one where I got dogpiled by you, Doug, and Anthony. And it seems like everybody enjoyed that.
Yeah.
They enjoyed my ass kicking.
What's not to like?
Well, I got to be honest with you. When I listened back to it, I was surprised. At the time, I didn't realize how much you joined in the dog pile.
That's the art of subtlety.
Right. I was like, hey, why is he not on my side here? Like, we're podcast brothers, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't think I would let anybody jump on you. I think I would come to your defense.
Yeah, but if you're a troll, you're a troll, and that's what the intervention was all about.
It wasn't an intervention. We were just bringing them on because they started something on our show, and what they said was wrong. That's what it was for. Apparently, it turned into an intervention.
Right.
Which really didn't work.
No.
Because we are going to have in upcoming shows, I have a new segment, and it's going to be As the Podcast Turns, where we talk about Twitter and podcast drama with our podcasting friends, whether it's Doug and Anthony from Who's Right, Jerry and Dave from the Bad Cop show, anything like that. And anytime I get in trouble...
But isn't most drama caused by you?
I don't like the word caused. I have a feeling that...
Right, how about because of you?
Because of me.
Right.
Okay.
Does that work better?
Because of me.
Do you want to argue semantics?
Maybe, yes. The account Technobully is officially dead because I changed the name to Podcast Tutor. A kinder, gentler name that actually fits my personality.
More like podcast taskmaster.
Now, why would you say... Now, okay. Why would you say that?
All ramped up.
Okay. No. That's okay. This is good. It's cleansing. It's New Year. Let's dust out the old and come in with some fresh... So where am I a podcast taskmaster? You might be right. I want to get your take on this to see if I agree with you.
Because as long as I've known you, it's your way or no way or the highway.
Yes, that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
But can I explain why?
Because you're a bully.
You would think that, but that's not really true.
Okay.
The reason why is because I was taught a certain way, and I believe in that way. In my core beliefs of podcasting, how to make a good sounding podcast, way things should be done, I was taught a certain way, and that is my core beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, when I do a show, it is my way or the highway. Now,
in every other aspect of your life, it is your way or the highway.
Yeah, I thought I was actually starting to...
No, you
finish a sentence.
Yeah,
I thought I was starting to finish it. No, you're not finishing a sentence.
You're laboring under the delusion that you're a mellow guy. No, you are not.
I have my moments. Although yesterday, we're trying to buy a car for my one daughter. She just turned 17. We found this car, and I said to my...
Now, which one is this, Christina?
It's Megan.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so my ex is out looking for cars. She's sending me everything from Craigslist. We had a budget. Wasn't a big budget, but it's her first car.
Right.
Listen, I'm not made out of money. So, we drug some money together. This is what we had. Okay. So I'm like, here's what we have. See what we can find. And what I'm trying to look for is a diamond in the rough. Somebody's grandfather dies and they had like this car that was really not driven well, but it was well maintained or something like that. They just want to get rid of it. They didn't really know the value of the car.
Yeah.
I'm looking for like a diamond in the rough kind of thing, which takes time to find something like that. Where my ex-wife is like going to Craigslist and cars.com.
That's how you wound up with that Tahoe.
So, yes, she's done that to me ever since I've known her. She's
called me Monday night in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Can you help me out? Yeah, sure. I'll be back Friday. Friday comes. Hey, John, I'm back. Yeah, we bought a Tahoe. She couldn't wait.
It was a Suburban.
Oh, was it the Suburban?
Right. It was
She
the
couldn't wait.
Worst deal I've ever made.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was horrible.
that was a whole.
So.
And who got you out of that?
You did.
You're damn right.
You did. You did. You talked me through that, and it was wonderful. All right, but we're going off task here. So anyhow, I give her a budget what to do, and then she's sending me all this stuff, and I had to sit her down. I'm like, because I could feel it. I could feel it. I could feel the blood pressure in my temples. I could feel myself start to really tense up, and I was just about ready to let loose, like I do. And I'm like, no, breathe in, breathe out. So we found this one car. It's a nice looking little car. I don't know, again, you're taking your chances when you buy a used car. I know that, but it seems to have good bones. So we bought this car. So yesterday we have to go pick it up. I was like, well, how am I going to do this? Can I write them a check? Can I give them a credit card? How am I going to do this? And they go, no, you can't write them a check. They only take cash or certified check. So I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to get that much cash out. So I said, all right, I will go and get a certified check. Now I just said, I'll go get a certified check. She continues. It needs to be a certified check or cash. She continues. She just continues and continues. And I'm like, now I got it. She goes, well, you got to get it to the bank. I'm like, I know how to get a certified check. And then she continues to tell me more about everything that I already know. In other words,
it's your first rodeo all of a sudden.
Right. Now, all of a sudden, I'm being woman-splained to. Okay. And finally, I couldn't take it anymore. And I'm like, I got it. All right, leave me the fuck alone. I can get a fucking check. And I hung up on her. Now I'm the asshole. Because I tried several times. I should have just hung the phone. Again, now that you...
Hindsight is always 20/20.
You can always go back, and then usually you can store that because it's burned into my memory because it's with such an emotion, right? So next time when that starts to happen, what I'll do is I'll just hit the button on the phone and hang up and say, oh, the call must have dropped.
Yeah. Or you got another call coming in.
Yeah, got another call, got to go.
Hey, someone's knocking at the door.
Yeah, got to go. And just hang up the phone instead of losing my shit. Because as you've seen and as you know, I have a really, when I lose my temper, I lose my shit.
Yeah, you have zero patience, compounded by the temper.
My patience
and your will to impose your will on everybody else.
It reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where George's father's talking about something that was going on. And says, I think it was about a toy in the supermarket before Festivus. And he says, and as rain blows
down upon his head, I thought to myself, there has to be a better way.
There has to be a better way. And then immediately I text, sorry for yelling. I know what I'm doing. I'll talk to you later. And then, so we get by that. But, that was our whole marriage where she would just shut the fuck up. I'm all right. I got it. Okay. I got it. Just enough. I just don't know what that is. And then, it just goes on and on. And then they look surprised. Like they get that big surprised look on their face. Like, what happened?
Like Danny Thomas?
I've never seen Danny Thomas's surprised look.
Well, Danny Thomas, who was Marlo Thomas's
I know who he is. Yes.
He had so many facelifts. Like my grandfather said, oh, look at him. He's had so many facelifts. He looks like he's surprised because his eyebrows were like... They were so high up. They were like maybe an inch away from his hairline. They were like so way back.
I don't remember seeing. I'm old enough to remember the Danny Thomas show and Danny Thomas on Johnny Carson. I'm old enough to remember all that shit. So I don't remember old facelifted. Danny Thomas.
Well, he used to do those. He was always on commercials selling something like I don't know, or doing charity work. I think he used to represent the Shriners.
I think you're right.
Something like that. And that's where we used to always see him. And my grandfather, look at him. He's had so many facelifts, he looks surprised.
Well, you know who died, which I was shocked by, was Jay Thomas. I don't know if you remember Jay Thomas. He was in Cheers. He was the guy, the goalie that was married to Rhea Perlman.
Yeah.
He died. And I was a little shocked by that. I don't know why. All these people are dying, and Artie Lang is still alive.
Didn't he die of... He died relatively young. It was something Jay Thomas.
It was wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was a fluky thing he died of, I think. I forget what it was.
Well, let's go to the Twitter. Let's see
what was it, Google?
What did I say, Twitter?
Yeah.
Let's go to the Google.
Yeah, he died of some kind of, was it congestive heart failure or something like that?
There we go.
It was like out of the blue, like he just up and died like Mr. Bojangles' dog.
He died of throat cancer.
Okay. And it was like so.
I don't think he just up and died.
No, but it was weird. It was like I don't know. I think he went in for some other kind of procedure.
he's one of those guys where you never remember him from a role, but then when you see him, you're like, oh, there he is again.
Yeah.
You know,
Character actor. Oh,
right? He was in Cheers, Murphy Brown.
Yeah.
You know,
he got fired from Cheers. You know why, right?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, I'm a big Cheers fan.
I am too.
And he was Rhea Perlman's, as you said, he played Carla's husband.
Right.
And he had said in a radio interview or a TV interview or something, he says, oh, yeah, well, I have to kiss Rhea Perlman. How would you like to do that?
Oops.
You know,
and he got fired.
If you ever notice the beginning credits of Cheers, one of the writers or producers' last name is Perlman. Well, it was her brother.
Oops.
So
that's the end of him, huh?
Yeah, he was on the show for like 2, maybe 3 seasons.
Right.
And yeah, he just found himself unemployed. So,
you know, you go on the radio, you forget the mic's open.
Sometimes you got to just suck it up and kiss Rhea Perlman. You know,
it's true. Yeah. And then the other death that just happened was not Jerry Van Dyke, not Dick Van Dyke. Jerry Van Dyke just
younger
died.
brother.
And I loved him in Coach. Oh my God, he was so funny in Coach. That, you know something? Now there's a show that they rerun all these other shows. They don't rerun Coach.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite
I remember once
shows.
we were at your old house on Avenue, just killing time or something. And
I'll have to bleep that out, but go ahead.
Like someone lives there now?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
that's all right. Go ahead.
Go look for you.
I gotta bleep stuff out for you all the time. I can't bleep myself thing.
Yeah, well, that one just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, we were sitting in your old house.
Yes.
And it was that episode where they were on the train in the sleeper car.
Oh my God.
That was like one of the funniest episodes.
Yes. Yes.
They were like rolling on the floor, literally. Oh, I better not say anybody's name. And then your girlfriend at the time walked in and like, what are you guys laughing at? Like, we're like both red and like tears are running. That was like one of the sink broke and they're in the bunk beds in the sleeper car. It was like one of the funniest things ever.
I think what happened is he ended up throwing his shoes out the train.
Yeah, the train window.
Hysterical. Yeah. Yes. So he just passed away, which was a sin. But then again, I don't know what's going on with Artie Lang from the Howard Stern show. Apparently, he got his ass kicked or something. He was on Twitter and he's had like a bloody nose and I don't know what happened.
Did he owe someone money?
I think that was again speculation. I have no idea. But now all of a sudden he's in rehab again, and he's still. I mean,
it's like Keith Richard from the Stones. I mean, you look at him, you know, like how is he still upright?
How is he still alive?
Yeah,
all these other people are dying, and Keith Richards still alive.
I always like when health nuts die. Like remember Jim Fixx?
No,
the Art of Running.
Okay.
He's the one that really popularized the running craze in the 70s.
Okay.
His name was Jim Fixx. Yeah, dropped dead on the side of the road of a heart attack. But see, and then all the health nuts will come in. But if he didn't do that, he would have died much younger than he. That's what they said about Jim Fixx. I think Jim Fixx was like 52 or 56. He was a young guy when he died. I just had my physical at the Dr. Beetlebum at the company.
Yes.
We do our yearly physicals, and I ace it I'm in good shape. Okay. But every year I got to like fight with this guy because I have like low blood pressure, super low blood pressure, that he always insists like he's trying to like catch me lying. That I go, so what kind of blood pressure medication are you taking? Every year now for like 8 years, this has been going on. Like, I don't take blood pressure. Well, why is your blood pressure so low? Because I'm like so laid back. I can be dirt. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You know, he says, well, you got all my charts there. Look at them. Like this time I was like 112 over like 65 or something.
Look at you.
You know, it's like I have low body temperature.
You're barely alive.
Yeah, right. I'll probably die next week. So, but that's the only thing. It's like every single time, like, you know, and he always tries to like trick you into confessing that like maybe this guy's on drugs or something. And no, I don't take anything. So I barely ever even take aspirin or Advils.
See, for me, I turn over this whole new thing where, I'm 55. I got to start doing things like I got to go get the pipe up the ass.
How old are you?
56. What did I say, 55?
Yeah.
Sorry, 56. I'm 56, so I got to go.
1 year makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I've crossed over the double nickel, so now I got to go get that thing shoved up my ass. Mm-hmm. And then, there's all these other things that they want you to do.
You haven't had that done yet?
I have not had that. I've been trying to dodge that. I have to go do it. I have to go get it done.
Hey, listen, I say, no, just relax.
Just relax.
Well, you're asleep for that test.
Oh, they put you to sleep?
Oh, yeah, you're out for that.
Well, I don't know if I like that.
Well, they sodomize you in your sleep. That's all.
I don't like that. I don't think I like that.
Little light
I
sodomy.
think I want to be a god.
Then they don't let you out till you fart. They wheel you into the farting room.
Really?
Oh yeah, when you have a colonoscopy, yeah, that's what
You have to
do.
fart.
Yeah, well, because they're pumping air up there to make that 48 feet of camera cable pass cleanly through your colon.
Well,
Oh, you look a little edgy there now. But yeah, so you're all pumped up with air, and
Okay.
then they wheel you into the farting room, and then you're not allowed to leave until you let out a real good one, So how would you like to have that job? The nurse that's sitting in there goading people to fart, smelling all the farts.
that would be horrible. I'm not going to lie. But it's like, bed 2 can go.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So you're allowed to go now.
I said okay to this bet with Dave from Bad Cop, Bad Cop.
Mm-hmm.
And now Daniel Ripholtz is involved in this diet where we're going to have this competition.
Who's going to be naked?
No, but I'll tell you who's not going to. Let's put it this way. I'll tell you who's not going to be naked. Like Jerry.
So you're going to win.
Jerry says that he wants the loser
Right.
to be, the 2 losers to be naked, and then you have to pixelate your junk out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know. No. I say no. And he's like, well, it's
a motivator.
Yeah, it's a motivator. It'll really motivate you. And I'm like, I think it's I don't know. First of all, nobody wants to see me naked with my junk pixelated.
Well, some people might be curious.
You know how straight I am? I'll fuck you in the ass to prove it.
I don't know. So I'm trying to move them off that point. But now, so I'm listening to Bad Cop, and they're talking about this same subject. And I was surprised how close they were, with weight-wise and stuff like that. So now I'm supposed to give odds because I have more weight to lose and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But Dave's like 42
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And we've already established that I'm 56, and it's harder for someone that's older to lose weight than someone younger to lose weight.
What is it going to be? Is it going to be the percentage, or
I think
who
it should
loses
be
the most weight?
I think it should be the percentage.
Actually, there's a fairer way I thought about after that.
Okay, which is?
Okay, figure out what your body mass index is supposed to be.
Okay.
And whoever gets closest to that, because obviously if you weigh more than Dave,
yes,
you would have to lose more if you went by sheer weight. Also, it would drive the percentage higher. But if you guys establish a baseline of according to what the body mass index chart says, whoever gets closest to that, because I think you got 3 individuals here at varying
ages
and weight.
And I got to tell you,
Daniel Ripholtz doesn't appear to be all that big to me.
No, he's a little doughy. He doesn't need to lose weight. He needs to hit the weight room.
Or push himself away from the table.
No, I just think he's doughy. I'll tell you what, the way he looks now reminds me of how I looked when I was his age, when I was 25. I think he's 25 or 26 or something like that. So he's just doughy.
Yeah.
He needs to just hit the weight room and kind of just get away from the carbs
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just rein that in. He'll be fine.
Is he active?
How do I know?
No, I mean, because usually, if you're that young,
I don't know. I know he's a smoker, so I don't know what that has
then
to
he'd
do
be
with it.
fatter.
I guess.
Because smoking increases your metabolic rate and you burn. That's why when people quit smoking, they tend to gain weight because their metabolism slows down.
He's not really that fat. Like, I look at pictures, like when I was his age, I thought I was fat.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at pictures now.
Oh, you were an Adonis.
Damn straight I was. I'd kill to go back to that.
Yeah, well, you always look back at,
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, once in a while, I'll look through pictures like, oh, here's old pictures. And I see this guy with like dark brown hair. Like,
what happened to that guy?
Yeah, it was just like, well, I remember having hair like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I've been gray so long, it's like almost like it didn't exist.
Yeah. What was it? 2 weeks ago, I went to get my hair cut. And it had been so long since I got my hair cut. I did just use the shavers or whatever that thing's called. The
Clippers.
They use the clippers.
What's your number?
Right, exactly. So she's doing the clippers and everything, and it looked like somebody shaved a Shih Tzu dog. I mean, it was white hair, like just in piles.
Oh, you always have that black. They always insist on using the black smock.
Yeah,
so it really shows up.
It's like
well, can you use a white smock and make me feel better?
It was horrible.
I want to see this.
So I don't know. We got to figure this out.
I think the body mass index way is the way to go.
I'll have to look into that because you're saying to get whoever's got to get to the. Look,
Yeah, because
let's just use a number of, let's say 25.
Because they touched on it. Because if you went by just weight,
I would think it's percentage of weight loss.
Right. Because if you have here's what could happen. Right. Let's say a miracle occurs. Okay.
I can't wait for the miracle. Go ahead.
A miracle occurs and your will doesn't crumble and you like lose a person.
Okay.
Like you drop 300 pounds. Well, Dave doesn't have 300 pounds to drop, but you do.
That's true.
Okay. You would clearly win. So
I would lose.
Ergo, that's not fair to Dave.
Well, see, if you go by percentage, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I have to look at how that works.
See, you have to get a body mass in, and there's a formula. It's like your height by your age.
I used to remember, it's by your height and age and all that crap.
Look, that would be, to me, the most fair way to do it. And whoever gets closest to the recommended body mass index.
All right, hang on a second.
Yeah, it's your height, your age.
It's different for men and for different. Oh, God, here we go.
Are you laughing at the body mass index or something else catch your eye?
I'm laughing at the body mass index.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to put this out there.
Well, don't use your numbers. Just use the formula.
But it was supposed to have it where you put the age.
Mm-hmm.
It says according to age, sex, the calculator computes body mass index. Hold on. Let's try this one. See, maybe this is a different one. I'm gonna write that number down to see if that's the same number.
Mm-hmm. 1,000,006.
Stop it. It's not 1,000,006. All right, here we go. You got to put my height in, my weight. I want to be in pound. Do you prefer metric?
English.
Yeah. Stones and pounds. Oh, God.
No, so we're using the imperial weight.
Apparently.
Stone we determined is 11 pounds.
My age.
1,000,006.
Are you Asian or Asian American? What does that
Well, they're taken into your body type because they're usually slight.
What? Feel free to provide. Okay. This is optional. All right. Let's calculate.
It's going to tell you what you should be.
Please enter at least your height, weight, and sex and age. I thought I just did that. Let's try this again. Oops.
Did you say oops?
I put it in stones instead of pounds.
Oh, yeah. Well, you just added a huge.
It said, you're dead. All right. Recommended for more accurate. Are you Asian? No. Okay. Calculate. See what happens. It's higher. It's higher than what it was when I did the other one.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what you are now then.
Right.
What are you supposed to be? That's what you got to find out, what you're supposed to be.
Well, how do you know what you're supposed to be?
Well, there's probably another chart out there, like just a generic chart.
All right, so I know that. So let's see if I can go back and do this again.
Here, you do that, and then I'll see if I can find something on.
Let's say I'm going to go with. Let's calculate that and see what that says. Wow, I thought my goal body weight still says that I'm moderate. Okay, the calculation of body mass on my height and weight does not seem to be correct. What do you mean that doesn't seem to be correct?
Let me hit images. Maybe I can pull up a graph.
I'm trying to remember. Okay, you know what? I think I can do Dave's because I remember what he said he was. Let's see. Dave's taller than me.
Oh, I think I just found. How tall are you?
Well,
6 foot?
5'11".
Okay, 5'11".
I've seen to shrunk a little.
Okay.
I think he
and
was.
Would you say your frame is large or medium? I would say you're large.
Yes.
Okay. I found this. It says
I'm very big boned.
At 5'11", it appears to be 161 to 184.
184. If I was 184, I would blow away.
Well, no, that's your body mass index. That's what they're recommending you should be.
No, that's got to be pounds. All right. So where does it say he is?
Maybe you're right. Maybe that is pounds.
Right. All right. So my BMI would be 72.
Well, that makes sense to me. You should be 161 to 184.
I would be 72. His BMI
you
is
know what
40.
That's an old-fashioned height weight chart. That's what that is.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Disregard. They've discredited that now.
Yeah, so my BMI is like 72. His is 40.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just by the numbers he talked about on the podcast.
Right.
So
you got to find out what they want you to be.
All right, so let's go back since we're doing this. I'm going to go back. We're going to use his again. And let's say he gets down to 250 pounds. All right, and I'm going to calculate that. And then his BMI would go from 40 to 32. Okay. Now,
according to this, I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Of course you are.
But I mean, there's a green, and then If I go 1 pound over, I'm overweight.
Look at you. So you're like right in that.
Yeah, if I stay at 180 pounds, which is usually where around I hover, that's where they say I should be.
Right.
But if I gave up beer, I know I would drop 10 pounds. And who the fuck wants to do that? I'll keep the 10 pounds.
Of course.
Yeah, so if I was 170, I would have more.
All right, so what happens is, so now if I lost 100 pounds and he lost 50, well, actually 60, mine would be 56. So I would have lost 16.16 off my BMI, and he would have lost 8. So does that mean I lost more?
You would have to lose more, I guess.
That means I would be ahead of the game then. So I would be winning.
Yeah.
Because I would be closer to my...
Whoever nails the BMI.
Right. Now, in other words, where we are now, let's say right now, mine's 72. His is 40.
Okay.
All right. We lose whatever weight we lose. Okay. He loses like 60 pounds. I lose 100. All right. When I lose 100, my BMI would be 56. His would be 32. So in other words...
So he dropped 8.
And I dropped 16.
Yeah, see? So it's like the same.
It's not, well, I lost more. Like I lost more BMI than he did.
Right.
Yeah, I see. It's so crazy. Yeah, it's hard to figure out.
See, ideally, if you were all exactly the same weight, but you're not.
Right. And he's taller. Like I said, he's taller.
Yeah,
so,
he's a big dude.
Exactly. So, again, it's hard to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out how my naked body doesn't show up on.
Well, much like Nancy Reagan, you just say no.
I just say no, exactly. Because, remember, I have children, and we don't want my children to see their father on the internet. Although, to be quite honest with you, with guys like Doug from Who's Right and Dave the producer, my head could be on a very, very fat naked man at any time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It could be like Bob in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah.
Who was buried in a piano case.
Exactly. So it doesn't really matter. I've actually been playing around with Photoshop. So, I might be able to put I could find a fat body, naked fat body guy and put my head on his body.
Right.
And just send it.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
Yeah, this is me.
But then again.
Yeah, but don't you want to lose weight?
No, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
You just don't want to be legitimately naked.
Right. With my junk pixelated.
Yeah.
Because my luck, I'll send it that, and there'll be some kind of way that they can unpixelate it.
The only way you can do that, from what I understand, is if you sent the file in its original. Let's say you take a picture.
Right.
Okay. And
then I do the pixelation.
No, well, yeah, you do the pixelation.
Then I make it as a PNG.
And you just send it out that way. You would have to rename the file.
So they could
because there are so in other words, if you took the picture, pixelated it.
See, I'm afraid. I'm very afraid that they would be able to reverse
because that happens. They would.
There's got to be a way to be able to reverse engineer that.
Right, but what the simple.
So that's it. That's the end of that. That's the end of that. That is off the table. Off the table.
I wouldn't do it anyway, just because once it's on the internet, it's out there forever.
Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah, so it's...
Yeah, I mean, they already have my head on Caitlyn Jenner's body.
Yeah, the closest thing to eternal life in this plane is just putting an image of yourself on the internet, because it just lasts forever.
Exactly. Ugh. Hey, you know what would look good on you listeners? I'll tell you what, a Brand X t-shirt or hoodie. All you have to do is go to brandxpodcast.com/gear and you can see the unbelievable amount of shirt styles and colors. Not only will you get a stylish shirt, but you also help support the show. We would appreciate it. So just go over to brandxpodcast.com/gear. Check it out.
Check it out now.
Did you get a chance to watch? I know you didn't you wouldn't have done this anyhow. I can't watch it.
What's that?
The Golden Globes. We're recording this on a Tuesdays. I can't watch it either.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is now that this is such a victim mentality, what would you call it? A victim society where everybody's a victim nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag me too, hashtag this, hashtag that. So the Golden Globes, it's where everybody gets dressed up and they go in and they give themselves awards and tell each other how wonderful they are and what a great job they've done and all this horse shit that they just bestow upon each other because they're wonderful. And, oh, Jerry Seinfeld does a great thing where he accepts an award. And he says, these jag-off awards where you say, well, look, he got an award because he played Bob Johnson. So they go in here. And now all of a sudden, what really grinds my gears about this whole thing is that now everybody, it's all against sexual abuse and the sexual predators that were in Hollywood. Now, listen, I believe that anybody that's a sexual predator should be dealt with accordingly. They should be taken, tried, put in jail. That's the way I feel about it. But the fact of the matter is that this has been going on in Hollywood as long as Hollywood's been Hollywood. And all
they just didn't make up the term casting couch.
Yeah, that just didn't come out of nowhere.
Last year.
Right.
I've heard that all my life.
Exactly. So here's the thing. I got to pick and choose my words carefully here, which I don't normally do well. If a woman decided that, hey, guess what? I'll sleep with this troglodyte. If he gets me apart, I can do that. I want to trade my body or a sexual favor to get a part in a movie because I don't care. I can do that. Then fine. Who am I to tell her that she shouldn't do that? But now you don't get to come back as the victim. You made a choice.
20 plus years later.
Yeah. You traded your body for a part in a movie. It's prostitution. Okay. It's the oldest profession. I don't care. That's what you want to do. That's fine. Don't start now and come back and be the victim for all this. I feel sorry for the women that are like the admins and the people from behind the camera that don't make money and they still get sexually harassed and all that other stuff. I feel bad for them. Okay, I really do. But the people out front and the fact that Meryl Streep and Streep.
Yeah.
What did I say? Street?
Yeah.
Meryl Streep. She's there front and center. Oh, clapping for all this. And it lasts.
The woman that applauded for Roman Polanski.
Yes.
The child abuser.
Yes.
Who fled the country.
Woody Allen, who married his stepdaughter, his adopted daughter.
Yeah.
I mean.
And people still want to be in his movies.
They would knife each other to get in one of his movies. All right. So it's so hypocritical that now they're, hashtag me too, and hashtag this and hashtag that. Even the women knew this was going on and they decided to ignore it. And now all of a sudden, one brave person wrote an article and he was basically started the ball rolling and now everybody's jumped. So last night or whenever, 2 nights ago, when they started this whole nonsense over the Golden Globes, they're all wearing black and they're all in there. And it's very easy to clean
they're all
up.
wearing, see, I didn't even
Yeah, they all decided to wear black because of
for the slimming effect or just because
of this whole thing with the sexual abuse and sexual predators that are in the business and all
that they all knew about.
That they all know about.
Right.
But now all of a sudden they're
virtue signaling at the highest degree.
Exactly. So then they trot out Oprah. Let me just say these words to you because I want to look at your face when I say these. President Oprah Winfrey. Nothing? No reaction?
That's a lifetime from now.
You think so?
Oh, in politics? A year in politics is a lifetime. So 3 years from now?
So
she hasn't even said she's going to run.
Of course not, because right now they're putting feelers out right now. Everybody wants her to run. Oh, my God, we want her to run. Oh, what a breath after the tyranny and the mansplaining and the misogyny of this administration that we would get a woman like Oprah to run the country. I find it so hypocritical. I want to throw up because the fact of the matter is she is Donald Trump.
Well, what happens is as soon as you declare a party, we all know what her.
She's going to be a liberal.
Yeah, you don't have to go. That's not too far of a stretch to figure that out,
dude.
But once you declare it kind of reminds me. Remember Colin Powell?
Yes.
Okay. When he was just General Colin Powell.
Right.
And everyone wanted him to run. Oh, he should run, and he was like being coy. And they would start to ask him questions about issues and procedures and policies. And he was basically taking like a no comment stance. Because sooner or later you have to like stand for something.
Absolutely.
And he wouldn't do that. And then his star faded. I'm not saying that would be the issue with the Oprah, because she's got a lifetime of tape with positions that she's taken on.
Absolutely.
Prior to Obama, she never endorsed a candidate.
Right.
So she's the one that pushed him over the line.
And pushed Hillary out the first time. So now she gets up there and she puts out this speech. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I have some. I pulled some clips.
When was this? Last night?
Yes.
Okay.
Was it Sunday? What's today? No, it was
Tuesday.
Sunday night it was.
Okay.
Wait a minute. No, I think it was. So sorry. I think it was Monday night.
Yeah, they were going to put that against football. No fucking way.
I think it was during football.
Really?
I think it was. Again, I'm not 100% sure. So here we go.
As we all have lived too many years in a culture broken by brutally powerful men. For too long, women have not been heard or believed if they dared to speak their truth to the power of those men. But their time is up.
Woo! Cut me a fucking break.
Isn't there like about 180 pictures of her with Harvey Weinstein?
Yes, giving them big
over
smooches.
the years. Yeah.
Yes.
At award shows.
The guy that this whole thing started with, patient zero, basically. So here's Oprah's big finish.
The new day is on the horizon. And when that new day finally dawns, it will be because of a lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight.
Bullshit.
And some pretty phenomenal men.
Bullshit.
Fighting hard to make sure that they become the leaders who take us to the time when nobody ever has to say, me too, again.
Fuck you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. They're all clapping
What
away.
was she giving a speech for? Did she get an award?
She got some kind of lifetime jack-off achievement award that Sidney Poitier got back in 1964. When I was a child, I remember sitting on a linoleum floor.
Had trouble with that, huh?
I had a little trouble with that one. And I was sitting on the floor, and I remember watching on TV this black man in a white tie. And I've never seen anyone.
Is that what she said?
Oh, it was, Here's the thing about Oprah running for president. You know how when Trump came out, I'm like, you better get in front of this. You know, this guy could do real damage. He could be a president. Everybody's like, oh no, he'll never be president. Oh, that's so funny. Well, here's what I say about Oprah. Please run for president, because she doesn't have the backbone. She doesn't have the walrus thick type skin that Donald Trump has. And she doesn't have the
witherall
to get into the mud and fight. She will turn into a victim, and they will eat her alive. They're already starting.
Mm-hmm.
The conservatives, I think they're afraid of this, and they want to give her a taste of what's going to come if she tries to run, because they're all over this Harvey Weinstein thing about her, being friends with him and knowing what was going on and all this other stuff. So, and like, she's got the best life in the world. She's got more. She could burn money. Why does she want to be president?
Well, they said the same thing about Donald Trump.
Well, I can understand Donald Trump. He's an egotistical narcissist.
And the Oprah's not?
No, I don't think so.
I do.
Okay. So let's talk about that. So my thing is right now that all she has to do is come out as a lesbian. If she comes out as a Shrub Scout, she's got the liberal trifecta. Gay, black woman. There you go. And I don't think...
you're probably right. They would. It's always about identity politics with the Democrats.
I think she would blister Trump in an election. First of all, I don't think any...
You don't know.
I don't think any Democrats would run against her. Who's the strongest?
Well, she would clear the field.
She would clear the field.
Mm-hmm.
So that would her and Donald Trump would face off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think...
But you don't know that. Donald Trump could drop dead, and she might be running against Mike Pence.
You think he'd drop out?
Drop dead.
Oh.
You never know. He could die.
Okay. Let's say...
Things happen.
I understand that. Let's say he doesn't die, and we go to 2020, and it's against Oprah and Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think wins?
You can't procrastinate that, because you don't know what's going to be happening. We could go to war against North Korea in between now and then. We can go to war against Iran. If the economy is rollicking and booming, they're not going to want to change horses.
You don't think so?
And the economy's doing real, real well now.
I understand that. I got to tell you,
all the good stuff that Trump has done.
He undermined that stupid Twitter account.
They don't report. Well, I mean,
it's
outside of if it wasn't for Twitter, I mean, he's bypassing the press and getting the message out there. And outside of maybe the Wall Street Journal and Fox News, nobody else wants to report it, because if he was think about it this way, if he was so terrible and he was so bad, why would you come out against the guy? You would just let the guy fail. See, that's the issue. They're afraid he's going to succeed, and he is so far.
Well, again, I go back to the thing is we always wanted the country. I did. I don't know, say we all. I wanted the country run as a business. I said, I don't give a fuck if this guy is getting pissed on by 10 Russian hookers at night. I really don't care. Mm-hmm. Okay, as long as he's running the country and doing everything to make this country better and everything like that, I don't give a shit what he does in his personal life. I don't care what he does. I'm starting to change my mind now.
How's your pension doing?
I would imagine my pension's doing very well because it all has to do with the stock
market. Right, everybody's pension, everyone's 401k is tied to the stock market.
Right, so everybody's now.
How's your kids' outlook in the future? Again, as unemployment is falling. The only thing that this is what I'm saying, that 3 years from now is a lifetime in politics.
Right.
A lot of stuff could change.
And it's funny because...
And she's got to defend some really dicey propositions. And even though she's very popular and she's looked up to, as soon as you decide that everybody Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson loved Donald Trump until they put the R in front of his name. Right. And the same thing's going to happen to the Oprah.
Well, the funny thing is, it's like I could see her up on stage with Stedman and Gail from, what's her name? Gail, I forget her name.
The only thing I know is Stedman.
Right, Stedman. Well, she's got her best friend Gail. She's on the CBS News in the morning. I forget what her last name is. Mm-hmm. I could see, them flanking her on stage. I'll bucket both of these two, right? It's like, oh, look at her. And, allegedly.
Yeah, has she made the bulk of her money?
No, I do not.
She's very astute. Mm-hmm. She's a good businesswoman. You can't take that away from her. But one of the things she did, and a lot of the Oprah fans may or may not realize that. Remember the Oprah Book Club?
Yes.
All right. You know what that was all about?
Selling books?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
What she would do was she would buy the film rights or production rights to a book for dirt cheap. And then she would, after she secured those rights, then she would come out on her show and say, oh, this is a wonderful book. And then everyone would run out and buy the book because the Oprah told them that it was a good book. And then all of a sudden, Hollywood would be interested in turning that book or whatever into a movie.
And guess who would make money from that?
The Oprah.
It's funny that that's not illegal. Like it's almost
it's business.
It's almost like rigging the stock market. It's like insider trading.
In a way.
It kind of is like insider trading, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I want to see this happen. Because, I don't know why.
Look, who's the messenger?
The Oprah.
No. I mean, who would be the messenger to get that out? The media.
Oh, of course.
And the media is not going to turn on one of their own because
they love her.
Well, she's a lib.
She's like a queen.
Well, and she's the Oprah and she's a lib.
It's true. I have a feeling though that if she tries this, that they will, everybody. Well, first of all, the other side will immediately start a smear campaign, and by the time she gets done, she won't be the Oprah anymore. She'll be more like the Whoopi.
She's never even said she wanted to run. That's what I find fascinating about this. She has never. All she did was give a speech.
Well, if you say that she's as much of a narcissist as Donald Trump is, if we go by your premise, with all these people saying she should run, she should run, they might not be able to stop her now. She might get that in her head, like I could be the first woman president.
There's right now. I'm trying to think of someone that it's happened to, but a lot of other people have done that where they've given a speech or they did or said something that got a lot of attention, and then they got all this pressure to run, and then they just kind of hope it fades away. They never really committed, or even maybe they thought about doing it, but then when push comes to shove and they look at it, because they're going to drag in her family. I mean, it's
what family? She has no children.
What about her parents? They'll go back. You know how it is.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
They'll go back.
They did that to Ross Perot. Remember, he bounced out, then he tried to come back again.
Mm-hmm. That's what hurt him.
That's what hurt him when he bounced out. He sounded like a lunatic. They're trying to.
And I still voted for him, and that begot us Hillary in the grand scheme of things.
Well, Billary, right? That's when.
Well, we got Bill.
Right.
And because of Bill, because she was married to him, suddenly she was qualified.
Right.
To be president.
Yikes.
Or actually she was qualified to be a senator. She never ran anything. She never did anything.
The Oprah Michelle Obama ticket. Oh, can you see?
I think they would rather have Michelle Obama, to tell you the truth, than
what does she
than
know?
the Oprah. Just like Laura Bush, they had higher popularity ratings than their husbands did.
I guess.
And Michelle Obama is, she's a disbarred lawyer. They don't talk about that, but she was a lawyer.
Okay. But I mean, I kind of like what Trump's doing with the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he's going to start now to like cross the aisle. I think right now he's going to start working with Democrats to do other things.
Did you see that news thing he did today on?
What was that about? No.
He was in a room. I didn't see it. I heard it on the way over here and driving all over the fucking planet today with what I was doing. He actually brought the cameras into the negotiating room with a bipartisan chief lawmakers about working out this. We got to like hammer out an immigration policy here.
There we go.
You know, so and basically, it's, you know, they always say, oh, he's an idiot. He don't know what he's. Somehow this guy became a billionaire, not knowing what he's doing. So. You know,
yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying. You know, he did a lot of real estate deals. He did a lot of stuff in New York. He had a lot of shady, in my opinion, a lot of shady business.
Well, you just
deals.
don't like the guy.
No, I don't. I don't like. I don't like him I don't like him personally.
Yeah,
I don't. Okay, but then again,
it's like people, like he said during the debate, says, "Oh, he declared bankruptcy." You know, yeah. Well, you guys wrote the law that allows people to do this. If you don't like it, change the law. He didn't do anything wrong.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying he bankrupted.
And he never went bankrupt.
His company went bankrupt.
Right.
All right. Okay.
You reorganize. And there's different kinds of bankruptcy. There's totally go out of business bankruptcy, or you reorganize. Most of the time, it was reorganization.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan of the guy.
He wasn't my guy.
I understand that.
But I wasn't going to vote for her.
Exactly. And which was basically why she lost, because everybody on her side stayed home.
Well, she was unlikable.
Exactly.
Completely unlikable.
Well, that's what happens when I get into.
And she didn't listen to Bill.
What did Bill say?
Bill told her. I mean, basically, he says you got to go out there. She took Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania for granted. Never went to those states, or very little went out there. And Bill was said, you got to go out there and you got to do greeting meets. Shake the hands, press the flesh, whatever. Trump hammered Michigan and Wisconsin. They were making fun of him for going there. Well, guess what? The joke's on them, because he turned those 3 states.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. All he had to do was lose a couple of. I think depends on the state. Like if he lost one county in each of those states,
dude, an Oprah Donald Trump debate could be pay-per-view. I can't imagine how many people would. Well, I would love to see that.
Well, I watch the debates anyway.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, people that don't watch the debates, that would be, you could make that a pay-per-view, to be quite honest with you. That I could.
Well, I think they have laws against that.
But you understand what I'm saying is that everybody would be involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and again, I know what you're saying about this could happen, that could happen, and everything like that. But if you can, everything is equal.
Look at it this way: George H.W. Bush,
yes,
formed that coalition.
Yes,
we got Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait.
Yes.
Beat them back to the borders. He had like an 80, not that high. He had I think a 64% approval rating. Okay. A year out from the elections. And Bill Clinton won.
Yeah, because he played saxophone on Arsenio Hall.
Yeah. And he wore boxers instead of briefs.
There you go.
You know, but it just goes to show you your fortunes can turn on a dime in politics. Well, but Big Fat Christie, today was his last day.
Thank God.
You know, he's his first term. He had a tremendous approval rating because people liked what he was doing. He was taking on some of the issues, even though and he said, "Hey, I'm not here to be popular. I'm just a messenger." You know, and he did do some good things. But then I think he got a bee in his bonnet about running for president, and that's where he kind of fucking went off the beaten path.
I agree with you.
He went out, I think,
he's a fucking Cowboys fan.
Well, I think, that's a whole nother issue. But I think he went out with like a 15 or 16% approval rating. That was it.
He you know what happened? He got in Trump's wake.
That Bridgegate thing fucked him up.
I guess that's part of it.
Even though the Democrats investigated the shit out of that and they couldn't find anything. So I mean, we'll never know the truth. But he never recovered from that.
You're right.
That and walking on the beach hand in hand with Obama after Superstorm Sandy, that didn't help him.
That's right, because that basically got him.
I think that cost Romney the election.
You might be right.
Walking on the beach, sucking Obama's dick, just like
let me juggle the balls.
Yeah. Oh, those testicles look tired, Obama. Why don't you rest them right here on my chin?
All right. Well, listen, let's get out of the politics. We've talked way too much about politics. And again, it's not about the politics of, per se politics. I just love
everything's political.
I know. I just love the fact now that anybody, any celebrity now, because Donald Trump won, because now any celebrity with any kind of credit, any super celebrity can run for president and have a shot. And that just blows my mind.
Well, it always was that way.
Nobody did it, though.
Well, anyone can run. Well, because
nobody wanted to go through that shit.
No, it just goes to show you how jaded and upset the American public is that years ago, you had to have cred. You're like, well, this guy was a congressman for X amount of years, and then he did this, and then this. So if someone did come along and say, hey, I'm going to run, nobody took him seriously. And they said, why do I want someone that hasn't been in government? But now, for the last 20 years, government's failed us, that people are willing to hey, let's try someone that was not a politician.
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
You can't have, what was it? You can't have the people who caused the problem fix the problem.
Yeah.
So let's try something different.
And Trump's doing a lot of good stuff.
I hear you.
It's like the regulations he's cut, the stock market's roaring, unemployment is I heard today that there's the newest statistic came out, unemployment is at a statistical, where everyone has a job. If you're unemployed, it's because you don't want to work.
Okay.
Basically, I forget what the term is. It eludes me right now. But basically, it's 3.9 or something. It's incredibly low.
There you go.
Black unemployment is at the lowest rate since they started keeping records, and that's going back to 1972.
Yes.
The Feckless Wonder didn't do that.
No. He bloated everything.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm interested in the race itself. I want to see what happens with it. I'm keeping an eye on Oprah. I want to see the Oprah. I want to see how, what she does.
It might be much ado about nothing.
It might be. All right, here we go. The wrong one. What the hell was that?
I was going to say, what was that?
God damn it.
Get on that mic.
My Eagles.
And now we just lost.
Yeah, maybe.
Because now you're jinxing them.
You think so?
Oh.
You think I put the kibosh on them?
Oh, I know you did.
Well, we haven't really talked about it. And I'm a huge Eagles fan, and now they're in the playoffs. And we did lose the quarterback and everything. And I'm so sorry. Hold on. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. Tom from Tom and Steve is a big Atlanta Falcons fan.
Mm-hmm.
So we play the Falcons on Saturday night.
Right.
And I'm really, really sick. I mean, you know how I am about football. So, and then, if you're not into sports, I don't know how people cannot be into sports. Well, let's put it this way.
Other interests.
I understand. But what I'm saying is,
a
home team.
People?
No, it doesn't make it. But to me, there's nothing better than watching football on a Sunday afternoon when your team's out there. I mean, even, the Eagles have not, I started watching them in 1973 or 4. They were horrible back then. They got good in around the 80s. Bad again. Andy Reid came in the 2000 to 2005 or 6.
No, he was there for what, 14 seasons?
Yeah, he was there, but I mean, they really got good. I think, when did they go to when it was 2005 or 06, they went to the Super Bowl.
It was the 04 season, and the Super Bowl was in 05.
Right. Then we had,
against the cheatingest team in the world.
God.
They lost by 3.
We lost the best quarterback in the league, probably the MVP of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have Nick Deer in the Headlights Foles as our quarterback, but I still think we might have a shot. I don't know. Here's the thing.
On any given Sunday.
My heart says they have a chance. Mm-hmm. My head says they don't.
Oh, wait a minute. They have a chance of what? Winning this game or going all the way?
Winning this game, and then you got to reevaluate because you have no idea who will win the next
I would
game.
rather see them play the Vikings if they do win.
I agree with you. I don't want to see them play.
Drew Brees is just...
I do not want to see them play Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. He's amazing.
The only thing they got going for them is the road to the Super Bowl will go through Philadelphia.
If they win this game.
Regardless. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So if they win this game, then they got to play, and they got home field advantage. It'll be cold. LA team, well, that's not going to affect the Vikings, but...
Do you listen to any sports talk radio?
No.
Okay, so I do. And I can usually listen to, until Tuesday. Because what happens is they recap the game, and they come up with other stories and stuff like that. And then by Wednesday, you got all these chucklehead Eagles fans. And don't get me wrong, the Eagles fans are very, very passionate. But they are the quickest to turn. They love you, and then in 2 seconds, they'll stick a fork in your eye.
Well, that's any Philadelphia fan.
I agree with you there.
Phillies, Flyers.
So now they have, they want to give Foles like the first half. And if he's not doing well in the first half, they want to pull him for this other guy. I can't even remember his name. This the third string quarterback. And I'm like, if we're pulling Foles for the third string quarterback, we might as well just pack our shit and go home, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, why would they do? Are they saying they're going to do that?
These are the fans. These are the fans that are doing this. And then we have two sports talk radio stations here that are really basically driving this kind of conversation. So today I wanted to put my foot through the radio because they're sitting there talking about when they should start booing the team. I'm like, when should you start booing the team? Shut the fuck up. Why would you boo your home team? Why would you do that? I can understand, if they're doing poorly or something like, or one guy's doing poorly or something like that, but you got to get behind him. You got to try to build him up. You boo him, it's going to make things worse. And that's what drives me crazy. The better part about this weekend was Andy Reid, the coach that used to be here.
Big Fat Andy
goes to Kansas City, and everybody they're like, oh, Philadelphia, you ran Andy Reid out of here. He's a great coach. Yeah, Andy Reid's a great coach if the games don't count, like regular season games or something like that. But when you get him in the playoffs, he chokes. He's not a good game day coach in the playoffs. When you get a good coach against him, they outcoach him every time. So here, he
still hasn't managed to run a clock.
He cannot.
He squanders his challenges. He squanders his timeouts. I remember one time it was the second half. All right, you can fuck around a little bit the first half with your timeouts. We get that. How many times have you seen him during the second half? Like you're like 8 minutes into the third quarter and they have no timeouts.
Exactly.
That's what
it drives me. It used to drive me crazy. So now he's in Kansas City. They're up 21-3 at halftime. The Tennessee Titans come back and they beat them 22-21 to end their season. And the thing is that every year after you would lose, you'd see him waddle up to the podium. This guy got hurt.
We had to push. We had to make adjustments.
I take full responsibility. It's my job. I got to do a better job, putting him in better position to make a play, and this is on me. So he goes, time's yours. And it used to be so big, in Philadelphia, again, and the Philadelphia fans are assholes. The Philadelphia sports media are their bigger assholes. So they would go in there and they would just ask these irritating questions. And then he would basically not answer them. So they would complain that he wouldn't answer them. They say, oh, we're representing
the stonewalling.
Yeah. And it's because of the fans. It's not because of the fans. It's because you got a job to do and he's not giving you nothing. And now you have nothing to write. Now you got to figure out and think, and it makes your job harder. So this is why you're doing this. So they were complaining about that. He doesn't say anything. So that's when I got the idea to make the Coach Andy Reid Twitter account.
Right.
And I still have the Coach Andy Reid Twitter account. And so after the game, I blew it all away. I got to do a better job. There you go, Kansas City. And now, like all these people that were saying that, Philadelphia ran him out of town and he's such a good coach and, see what you got. I'm telling you what, if they fired him tomorrow in Kansas, I would not bring him back.
I think they would have fired him sooner if his son hadn't died in that tragedy. Right. They just I can't fire this guy now.
Right.
So they had to suck it up and keep him another year.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hey, if I can ask you to do one thing for us this week, if you're listening to the show and you like it and you're on Facebook, why don't you go over to facebook.com/BrandXpodcast, and that's where our page is, and you can like the page. We would appreciate that. And that way we have some articles. We're going to start populating that page with more articles and stuff. And if we decide to go Facebook Live again or anything like that, you will be notified, and we would appreciate that. And it kind of helps us out with the show and gives us more exposure. And also, tell a friend. Doesn't hurt to tell a friend about the show if you're enjoying it.
Spread the word.
Spread the word like butter.
Be Paul Revere.
There you go.
You wanted to talk about the Who Are These Podcasts, I believe.
Right. I had listened to Who Are These Podcasts because Doug from Who's Right was on there as a guest. And I had to tell you, I'm going to use the word sickened. It sickened me.
I didn't hear it, so I have no reference. Okay. So.
Did you listen to Who's Are These Podcasts? Okay, if you don't know Who's Are These Podcasts.
I know what the podcast is.
Right.
You've explained it. I've never listened to one episode.
All right, so for the listeners that don't know anything about it, Who Are These Podcasts is a podcast with this knucklehead named Carl. And he used to have a guy named Kevin on the show, but Kevin gave the show up. So now Carl brings in guest hosts of the week or whatever. He has a couple guys that might be, like I forget this other guy's name that comes on every once in a while. So basically what they do is they find a podcast and they shit all over it. And 3 weeks ago, they totally shitted on Who's Right podcast. So basically, this is what they said about the...
But Doug and Anthony agreed with it.
Well, they say that, but they said that because they didn't really... Listen, that's got to hurt.
I didn't hear that podcast, but I did hear Who's Right.
Okay, so
that's the only frame of reference I have here.
Well, this is Carl's, the show, Who Are These Podcasts? This is what they thought about the Who's Right podcast.
The bad news, I think, for Doug is going to be that our shows are the same the way a wet hand job is the same as a prison hand job with no spit.
That is quite the... What do you do with that? I mean, don't get me wrong. So then Carl, he gave his analysis of the podcast.
So here's my take on the show, Joe. They're purposely making a shitty podcast.
All right. So they buried this Doug and Anthony show for an hour or maybe 40 minutes because then they read their hate mail and then they do a teaser clip and then they get out of there. So for basically 30 to 40 minutes, they buried the Who's Right podcast like a cat turd. And Doug and Anthony weren't. I was furious. Like, I immediately went to Twitter and attacked this guy because they take one of the things about Who's Right. And the guy's Carl's voice annoys the shit out.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Why would you care so much?
Good question. I have no idea. But for some reason, like, I consider Doug a friend. Mm-hmm. Even Anthony, I consider a friend. Okay.
And even Anthony. Anthony's awesome.
I know. You love Anthony.
He is. He's a scream.
Okay. So... so when they attack a friend of mine like that, I get defensive. You know how I am. I'm very
pushy.
Not pushy. I mean, I defend my friends. I stick with my friends. My friends are, I don't like it when someone attacks my friends. I'll stick up for them. All right. So then Carl goes on to say, gives a little bit more definition of the show. So here we go.
I would normally be like, these guys suck. But then, because of our Come Town episode, I'm confused. Is that good because they're purposely so bad?
Right.
Because we reviewed Come Town that I didn't get at all.
Yeah.
And their subreddit blew us up. Like, you guys are fucking idiots. You don't get why Come Town's the most amazing show ever. Just some idiots laughing through the whole thing as they just say nonsense about ass fucking. And apparently that's the greatest show ever.
Well, I mean, it sounds like Doug has some type of broadcasting experience, right? I mean, he's out.
All right. Are you kidding me? Now, this is a show that, like I said, this is a show that actually critiques other shows. Mm-hmm. So he says, Doug has broadcasting experience. Now, if you've listened to the show, there's one thing you can say. Doug doesn't really have broadcasting experience. All right, here we go.
Like, he sounds like Bubba the Love Sponge to me.
I'll give him that.
I don't know if you got that. Like,
is that a compliment? I'm not sure.
No, it's not a compliment. They shit on Nashville at one point, and they shit on country music.
Right.
But he's got kind of a Southern accent.
Oh, they're Southerners, for sure.
I was just like, where are these guys from? So my game for you, Carl, is like, and I don't know the answer to this.
Oh, okay.
Where are these guys from?
Great game.
Where are they from?
Who knows? Is the answer.
I'm guessing Central Florida, personally.
Look how wrong you can be.
Right, exactly. They're from the center of the country.
That's having traveled extensively, a lot in the Midwest, they are stone cold, dead on Midwest accents. That's not a Florida accent.
So I caught some shrapnel on this episode because I had caught the episode that they had.
So now we get to the meat and potatoes of it.
You might say that, but okay. So what happened was I called into the show and then I had made a joke.
The way this show starts, the episode that we listened to, is with a voicemail. And the voicemail is from this guy, John, from the Brand X podcast. Right? Do you remember this?
Okay, this isn't the other one you listened to.
No, this is the one you and I listened to.
I remember.
The one that we're reviewing. It begins with a voicemail message. And apparently there was some Twitter battle happening, and this guy calls in to motherfuck the show. And I think they're friends. I think they're friendly, but he calls in to motherfuck the show about this and that. And so they start the show totally out of context, but it's fine. They start the show with just this voicemail. And I thought it was interesting. He has a joke. They have some T-shirt giveaway thing going on. And John from Brand X has this joke.
I was trying to figure out how to win that fucking T-shirt that says "fuck you" on it, and I showed it to Stephen Hawkins, and he was like, "Listen, I can figure out what a black hole does and how it happens, but I can't figure out how to win that fucking T-shirt."
So they decide that they're going to shit on the call and answer back. And this is how they fire back at John.
You don't need to reference what Stephen Hawking can do, because I think everybody knows it. So you could have left that whole 20 seconds of you hyperventilating off.
All right, so this way the joke is structured by John is actually correct. Mm-hmm. You want to say Stephen Hawking is he can do this, but he can't get the T-shirt. That is the way. I mean, he didn't do it very well because he could figure out what a black hole is. Okay, you could have done better. You could have said Elon Musk can create a rocket, but he can't figure out how to get a shirt, which would have been fine. But I love that this guy explains, like, you didn't structure your joke correctly. We already knew that. This is how you structure a joke. So,
and Carl's like, oh yeah, well, that was a really great joke. So come on, Carl, let's hear what you got for a joke. Here's Carl's big joke.
The only show that analyzes every single Trump tweet. I'm your host, Carl.
There we go. That's a joke.
Was it?
No, it's not a joke.
I just thought it was like a throwaway line.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think he was really trying to make a joke there, but I'm just being unbiased here. I'm not picking on any. I'm not.
Of course
I know
not.
you'll accuse me of taking sides again.
You'd love to go against me. I saw that on the Dog Pile show last week when we had Doug and Anthony on the show.
Well, sometimes you need introspection.
Think so? Okay. So now I think Doug has Stockholm syndrome. Like, after that whole thing, he goes on the show. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Or maybe he has a better sense of self than
you. Think that's it? You're right. Because to be honest with you, if they went on and did a review of our show, like they reviewed their show, I would be driving to Rochester, New York, and going 2 knuckles deep of my index finger in his eye socket, to be quite honest with you.
Rochester, huh?
That's where he's from, Rochester.
They got 2 seasons here.
Which are?
Winter and not winter.
Okay, well, I guess that's why. Right. So now I go to listen to Doug on this show, and I'm thinking to myself, if it was me, and
now that I know that Doug's on there, I got to tune in.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, he's my hero.
So here's the, at the very beginning, they do the WATP, the whole Howard Stern nbsp. That's how they do. So this is how they open. And I was like, I couldn't wait to see if Doug would actually go in here and do this with them. So here we go.
WATP.
WATP. Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Are These Podcasts, the only show that analyzes every single Trump tweet. I'm your host, Carl. With me, as always, is Doug from the Who's Right podcast.
Again, I don't get it. I listened to part of the show. It actually gave me...
What don't you get?
It just
Doug doing it?
Yeah, Doug doing it. It gave me douche chills.
Maybe he wanted to have fun.
I mean, after, like I said, the guy buried his show like a fucking cat turd. And he goes on this show and co-hosts with him.
I think you need to get out of this basement more.
Really? You do think that? Yeah. I mean,
I just don't understand why you care this much. It wasn't
wait a minute. We pour our heart and soul into these shows.
Mm-hmm.
I know I pour my heart and soul into this show. I know Doug pours his heart and soul into his show. And the fact that this guy decides, well, again, Doug said here, Doug basically dropped his pants.
You're like so angry you can't even speak.
Doug basically dropped his fucking pants, grabbed his cheeks, spread them wide, and said, here, fuck me in the ass. All right? And then this guy comes in and does a fucking hatchet job.
That's kind of a leap, isn't it?
You haven't listened to the show yet. They buried this fucking guy. The whole show. I'm furious.
Okay. Now, if I can interject here.
Sure.
We were talking about roasts before.
Yes.
And who's that broad that does the Lamenteer or whatever? The celebrity roasts.
Lisa Lampanelli?
Lampanelli.
Okay, yes.
Okay. You like that.
Yes.
How is Who Are These Podcasts different than that?
Lisa Lampanelli is one of the best female comics out there.
That's not what I asked her to.
How can that not be the answer when I'm telling you the answer?
How is what Lisa Lampanelli doing different than what these guys are doing, or vice versa?
Okay, first of all,
think of it as a roast. That's all.
It's not a roast. A roast is where comics go in and they break each other's balls, and they know they break each other's balls, and it is
maybe Doug knows that.
That's not what this is. That WATP is not what that show is. It's a show where they just go in and they don't have nothing else to do, so they grab a show and they shit on it. They take shit out of context and they just shit all over the show. That's what it is. That's all they do.
And roasts don't do that.
No, a roast is it's a comedic tribute to a person.
But the jokes that they do, but they also tear other people down in the audience also, don't they?
I don't know if they do that nowadays in the roast. I know that they used to do that with, back in the day with Dean Martins, but the roast today is like the roast of Rob Lowe and the roast of...
Once on this podcast,
yes,
or Off in the Weeds podcast,
yes,
you were talking about that show.
Which show?
Lisa Lampanelli.
Okay, yes, the roast of, yes.
And whoever they were roasting got off easy because Ann Coulter was there, and you thought that was just the bee's knees that they all attacked Ann Coulter.
Well, when you sign up for that, you're signing up.
Right, well, that's what I just said. Don't they take shots at people that are in attendance?
Honestly, it's apples and oranges, and I don't know how to explain it to you, except...
I think it's kind of more or less the same thing as a roast.
It can't be the same thing as a roast, because first of all, in a roast, the person... Okay, I'll tell you why it's not like a roast. Because in a roast, at the very end, the person that gets roasted gets a chance to get up and take his shots back at the people that gave him all kinds of shit. This doesn't do that.
Right.
This is one fucking sided, and it's taken out of context, and it's like, oh, listen to me. And again...
Maybe you're not in on the joke.
There is no fucking joke. There's nothing to be in on.
I don't know.
Okay?
I think you're just overreacting. I don't know why you...
and then there's another show that they did that I promised I wouldn't talk about because they just want to kind of let it low. And that show, I almost drove to fucking Rochester and throttled the guy. Because, I mean, that was taken way out of context. Same thing. The show said, oh, by the way, do our show. And they went in and I'm telling you, I had to turn it off. I couldn't take it anymore. It was so fucking brutal.
Now, you do realize that the mere fact of you talking about this invites trouble.
Why is it? But from who?
Suppose they wanted to do this show.
They better not. They better not.
Now you just threw the gauntlet down.
No. Trust me.
How could you stop them?
I can't. They could come and do this show.
Exactly.
And again, that's fine. You want to take our show out of context, that's fine. But to go in there and just bury these shows. And again, it's not about... Listen, that guy's an asshole as far as I'm concerned.
How long have they been around?
I don't even fucking... I have no fucking clue.
Right, I thought maybe you had a clue.
No, I don't have a clue. All right? I mean, I kind of lost a little bit of respect for the guy. To go in there and play up to this asshole.
Is Doug an adult?
Again, yes.
Is this a free country?
He's allowed to do it, and I'm allowed to judge him for what he does. As he judges me every time
I wonder why I call you social bully.
I'm not being a social I'm just telling you how I fucking feel. The guy goes, after this guy fucking tears his show apart, he goes on his show to tear another show apart.
All right.
And then play to this fucking guy.
Okay. How will this alter Doug's life from this point out till the day he dies? In the grand scheme of things.
It won't. Okay.
All right. Will Doug still have a family? Will Doug still have a job?
Yes.
Will Doug still breathe the air and drink the water?
You are talking all sense here. I don't have any of that in me right now. I'm furious.
I can see that.
Okay.
You're like a chick.
I'm not. How dare you?
You're like pure emotion.
I am not like a chick.
Pure emotion.
Fuck that. I am not like a chick.
No, I'm not like a chick.
No.
Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, I'm more upset about the attack.
Right. I see that.
Okay.
The one time we're not on fucking Facebook Live. You're like fucking Crimson over there.
Oh, I was furious. I'm still furious. The fact that you said, that you threw down the gauntlet. All right, so let me I forgot where I was going now.
Because you're a chick.
Chicks don't forget shit. I'm a dude. I had a thing in a box. You changed the fucking box. I mean, I can't find the first fucking box. That's the problem.
What's that game with the shell game in the city?
Yeah, exactly. I can't find the fucking piece.
3-card Monty. Yeah. I did a 3-card Monty.
Yeah, 3-card Monty'd me. So anyhow, all right. So I do have a theory at the end. I think I know why Doug did this show.
Because he's brilliant.
That's not the reason. I think what happened is that if Doug did this show with Carl, Carl would say, oh, what a nice guy and all. I will now like Who's Right. So by being nice to Carl and going on a show and showing him what a great guy he was, that Carl would then say, oh, what, I like Doug so much. I will listen to the show and I will like this show.
Did it ever?
Wait, hang on. Hold that thought.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because of this clip.
I've got a couple questions I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if you got time to answer. But
of course. What's going on?
So have you ever went back and listened to shows that you've bashed and then turns out that you enjoy them?
Yeah. That's a good question. A show that I bashed and now I enjoy. I will say that the Higher Side Chats is a show that I go back and listen to. I don't know that we bashed it too much, although the one that we listened to was pretty ridiculous. So that would be an example of one that I still subscribe to and listen to from time to time. But for the most part, the shows that I've bashed, I've pretty much never gone back to listen to.
Now, here we go.
All right. I was just curious.
Are you asking if I'm still listening to Who's Right? Is that what the question is?
No, I picked up pretty early on that you weren't a fan. I'm okay with that.
Guys, everybody check out Who's Right.
All right. So basically, Doug threw a softball out there to see if he would come and say, yeah, I felt bad. We really and the guy did nothing. Just looked at him, laughed in his fucking face, and said, no, your show's still a piece of shit. After Doug comes on this fucking show and and is co-host and does all this stuff and fucking tap dances like a fucking monkey and does all that bullshit, and now he fucking throws dirt in his face again. I'm sorry, I don't see it. As far as I'm concerned.
That's quite a buildup.
You don't think that was what that was?
Did it ever occur to you that maybe Doug enjoys that podcast?
He might enjoy it.
And he was thrilled to death to do it.
How the fuck can you enjoy a podcast after they rip you to fucking shreds?
Because Doug and Anthony have a pretty acerbic sense of humor. That's kind of fits right in with what they like to do.
All right, for the people who don't know what acerbic means.
Acerbic.
That's what I said, acerbic.
You said ab, I think.
What was it again?
Acerbic.
Acerbic.
Yes.
For people that don't have acerbic sense of humor, what was that? What the fuck does that mean?
You're like a little sour, sort of like I'm trying to think of a comedian that might have had that, but it's like like a little cutting, a little sarcastic. It's not like a Jerry Seinfeld type, obviously. I'm trying to think of but anyway, you listen to the show. If you listen to the Who's Right podcast, you know how they break each other's stones. And,
all right.
And that's what it sounds like this other show does. So they're probably, they break ball. Look what they did, with other people that we know. Doug and Anthony.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, so they got a taste of what they did to other people, and they realize that. Maybe it just shocks me that it never occurs to you that maybe Doug liked that show and he enjoyed doing it.
That show
and maybe it's another way that
that show is dead to me.
Maybe he's cross promoting his show, so it's all about listenership and downloads, and there might be a business aspect attached to that. That never
dude,
that never went in there.
If that's the case, I don't care if I would get 1,000 more downloads an episode by going
bullshit.
on that show. No, dude, I swear, I will give me a Bible. I will swear on a stack of fucking Bibles that I would never go on that
burst
fucking
into
show.
flames when you do that.
I would never go on that show and do what I would never do.
It
would be a fight.
Never say never.
I'm telling you, I would never go on that show and be a co-host about any other show.
Okay.
I get that, I can guarantee.
Yeah, we'll see.
Really? As soon as he went, hey, ATP, I was like, dude, really with the ATP? As if we are enough with that with the ATP?
Mm-hmm.
Cut me a fucking break.
They're so angry.
Listen, I was a little shocked that Doug would actually go on there after that fucking trouncing that show took.
I saw it today. There was a bonus episode of Who's Right out. I didn't listen to it yet. I just saw it today. It came across the wire.
First episode that came out was I found out that I was gay.
Yes, you coming out.
Yeah, I found out. No, they said I was gay. I don't know. I don't understand that.
So that's what this is all about.
No. I mean, listen, that's fine. They want to call me gay. They say I came out on the show. I mean, that was a joke. I know that was a joke. But it was funny. I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the show, and they say, yeah, well, John came out to Deuce that he was gay. I'm like, oh, look at that. I'm gay. Who knew? So, yeah. No, again, I don't. Both of us. Our show, their show. We're pretty brutal to each other on the show. But at the end of the day, that's a roast because we get a chance to go back at each other. He can come at me. I go at him. It's not a big deal. And again, at the end of the day.
I just find it ironic that you're always like, you know me, I'm all about do what you want, be happy, live and let live. And then when Doug does that, how the fuck did he do that?
It amazes me that he was actually able to go on the show and talk to that guy.
Maybe he's a better man than you.
He is a better man than me. There's no fucking way.
Sometimes it's just that simple.
No fucking way would I ever go on that show and kowtow and Step and fetch it for that motherfucker. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I would go on that show and say, he would say, hey, what do you think about that show? Fuck that show. Let's talk about this show. Let's roast this fucking show. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about how you do this and you take things out of context and you play a couple clips.
So then why don't
Play number 14. What? Go on a show?
No, why don't you just do your own Who Are These Podcasts? Do a reverse. Do his show to him.
I'm kind of doing it right now, although I haven't pulled any clips.
That's what I mean. Do that.
I could.
Yeah, well.
But it's really, honestly, it's not that good of a show.
Yeah. Well, you're expending a lot of airtime on it. I mean,
listen, again, I was sticking up for a friend of mine, and then I find out that the guy goes and then does the show after.
I got the impression, listening to Doug and Anthony, that they enjoy the show.
What are they going to say?
Again, it doesn't occur to you that maybe they do enjoy the show?
You haven't listened to.
No, I have not. But
okay.
I'm telling you, from my point of view, listening to Who's Right, hearing them speak of that, it seems to me that Doug and Anthony enjoy the show.
All right, can I give you a little bit of homework since for your drive stuff? Can I give you a little homework? Can we put a pin in this conversation? And all I ask you to do is go back and listen to the episode of Who Are These Podcasts as they did the show on Who's Right. Listen to that, what they said. And then come back next week and tell me if I'm out of my mind. If they had did that about this show, would you go on their show after what they said about Who's Right? If they were talking about us, would you then
I
go
never
on their
asked
show?
to be on any shows, so it's like, well, that's not true.
Humor me one time. If the fucking guy called you after he fucking buried us, would you go on his show and fucking tap dance and step and fetch it for the guy?
I'm probably busy.
Listen to the show first before you say anything.
I'll probably be busy.
Oh, I see. That's what you do. You don't just say, go fuck yourself. You just say, I'm busy.
Well, I usually am busy.
You're exhausting.
Yeah, I know. That's what I do.
Jesus Christ. I can't get a rise out of you. I don't know.
I just think you're caring a little too much about this.
I think you're caring not enough. Our friends were fucking attacked. I'm always wrong on this show. What is that?
No, you're picking up the theme.
With you, I'm always wrong.
Nah, that's not true.
All right. Jesus Christ.
No, I'm not always correcting you or nothing.
Excuse me.
No, I just think you're caring a little bit too much about this.
I was shocked. I'm not going to lie. I was
overly
shocked.
sensitive about it.
And I thought that Doug was a bit of a pussy to go on that show after they fucking buried him like that and then just cowtailed to that fucking asshole, Carl.
How do you know that's not really his cousin? It's all a clever ruse.
Get that. What? Are you out of your mind?
No.
Stop.
Just like to throw these things out there.
I hear
You're
you.
a big conspiracy nut.
That's true.
That's about the kind of shit that you say to me about
dude. I'll
moon landings.
I am such a fucking conspiracy nut that I think Tom from Tom and Steve has almost talked me into that this fucking earth is flat.
I want to believe. It's like the poster in the X-Files in Sculder and Mully's office.
Dude, they got into another fucking argument. Tom and Steve over flat earth and everything.
Did they leave?
No, Tom and Steve hung in there this time. Okay. And they were and he's like, come on, prove me wrong and all. And he was saying stuff and I'm like, making good points here. So the one thing he said was, again, remember, I'm playing with Photoshop and learning how to Photoshop. Mm-hmm. So Tom says, what I've never seen is, there have all these pictures in space and stuff like that. No one's taken a picture of like the space station with like the Milky Way in the background. The biggest thing in space, you could almost not, there was like no way that you couldn't take a picture of that. Why don't they show me a picture of somebody on a spacewalk or something with the Milky Way in the background? So then I went, I got a guy walking in space and I put a Milky Way bar in the background. I go, Here we go, debate over.
Well, you know why that's not going to happen?
No, why?
It's because I used to shoot photography. I used to do that all the time. Mm-hmm. And basically, the exposure of the film, it's going to concentrate on the brightest object. So, case in point, the moon landing. You got the astronaut on the surface of the moon, Neil Armstrong, standing next to the flag, but the sky is black. Yeah, because the foreground is overexposed. If you left it open long enough, you would just have nothing. So the shutter speed has to be fast enough to register the brightest light source to capture the image. That's all.
There you go, Tom. There's your answer.
You know, that's just basic, you know, and fisheye lenses. I mean, it's all out there, but people, it's like the poster in the X-Files. I want to believe. My big thing is like the pyramids. You know, it's just like no one can conceive that man can actually build something like that. You know, because they make it sound like, oh yeah, like how could they do that? Like as if they were built in 3 years. No, it took 100 years.
But the mathematics.
What about the mathematics?
The mathematics on how precise they were on, as far as it was made as the circumference
of pi.
Now I think it was, and again, I'm sorry because I can't I can't.
You know why the circumference? It's very simple. We can do this in your backyard right now. Well, not right now. We can't because there's snow on the ground. But let's get 2 sticks and tie a rope to them. Yes. And we'll pound one into the ground and we'll scribe a circle in your fucking yard. Hey, look, it's perfect. And we'll orient this part to the North Star, or what was then the North Star at the time.
But I think that, again, the parameter of the bottom of the pyramid is with a certain number to the circumference of the earth.
Okay. Like they didn't know how to like gauge that. They didn't.
Well, how did they know what the circumference of the earth was back then?
Well, they pretty much figured it out with a map and 2 sticks and a shadow on the first day of summer and a well in Alexandria.
Really? They did that back then?
Yeah. And the guy was only off by a couple of 100 miles.
I saw that and I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know.
In a nutshell, what had happened was legend had it that on the first day of summer, there's a well in Alexandria that at high noon on the first day of summer, the whole well is illuminated. There's no shadow anywhere. But another town, 50 miles away or whatever, 100 miles away, a portion of the well would still be in shadow at the same time of the day. So guys like you would say, so what?
Okay.
Look
at that.
Shadow. All right.
Guys like you.
Right. Well, there was a guy like me, and this is like 3000 BC or whatever, and his name is, if Joe was here, Joe would know. This is more in his wheelhouse. This puzzled him, so he drew a map out, and he got 2 sticks, and he's like, oh, how could this happen? And then he noticed by curving the map that there was no shadow on one stick, and there was a shadow on the other stick where the other village was. So what he did was he hired a pacer to pace the distance from Alexandria to this other city, okay? And then they calculated what that distance was.
There's the early Uber. Go ahead.
Well, think about that. This guy hiked like 100 miles and he had to count how many steps it was. And they had to measure his steps. I mean,
could you see if that was me? I'd get like a quarter of the way there. Turn around and come back.
Right. And then what he did, basically, because of that, he figured out for that to happen, that the surface of the earth must be curved, and he was able to make the calculation, and he was only off by a couple of 100 miles.
Okay.
So now I don't know why people think that men don't observe, like mankind has never observed things. They had years and years of nothing better to do once it got dark. Hey, let's chart these stars.
Like I said, he made that. Now you're swaying me the other way. Yeah, you're right. I'm easy.
You are easily led.
I'm easily led. Yeah. What can I tell you?
You just look like a hog ring in your nose, just like it take you anywhere.
I saw a video about the 9/11, the planes crashing into the towers. They're like, it wasn't planes. I'm like, it wasn't planes. I saw the fucking planes. What do you mean it wasn't planes? And all of a sudden they're showing you this and that and where the pictures were and the angles. And I'm like, son of a bitch, it might not have been planes. I don't know.
No, you clearly do not.
And then they're showing you pictures of they're showing you video from, let's say 20 miles away, 10 miles away, 5 miles away, and that building is the same exact size, and that can't be true.
How do you know that that's a legitimate photo?
Again, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Think about it this way. People that put shit on YouTube are kind of like podcasters. They're people that have nothing better to do.
What do you mean?
And all day to do it, and they just put shit out there. A lot of these guys, I mean, what are they doing with this information? It was like, they're making shit up.
It was like things where they showed you where the plane came and then it went between the 2 buildings and you didn't see it. Like there was nothing between the 2 buildings. Like it was almost like it was photoshopped or something like that. And then it was, again, I'll have to try to find the video that was on Twitter. I think actually Tom shared it, to be honest with you. Tom from Tom and Steve. Hey, my buddy, my
confirmation bias.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyhow, I thought that was kind of funny. And so now that, why was I even talking about Tom in the beginning? What the hell did that even start from? Dude, I'm losing my fucking mind. Today,
you're such a conspiracy theorist that you think that they're swaying you on that the Earth is flat.
Today, the New Jersey Alzheimer's Twitter account followed me. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys following me for? You know something I don't know?
Right.
Now I'm starting to wonder, starting to worry. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. You want to do some podcast shout-outs?
If you are looking for some other great independent podcasts to check out, we highly recommend these podcasts. The Evening Radio Podcast with Jason and Mindy, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
What is that new show that they just did with Jason's stepsister?
The Difference Between Us.
I like that show. They did 2 episodes so far, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
And he has a new WTF is Success.
Say that one more time.
Say that one more time. The WTF is Success podcast. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to that one yet, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. The first show that they did with his sister, what was it called again? Real quick.
The Difference Between
Us. The Difference Between Us was about the bathroom. And there's a lot of good stories there, to be quite honest with you. I learned a lot about his sister. I don't know if it's all good, but I learned a lot about Stephanie. That's all I can tell you. The Bad Cop show with Jerry and Dave. They just put out episode 102. Hysterical as usual. Very, very funny show. Love that show. Amazing.
The Hunan Show with Rocky, BB, Drew, and Josh, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
The Who's Right podcast with Doug and Anthony, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
The Unwritable Rant with Juliet Miranda, where she recaps her adventures. You weren't expecting that, were you?
Well, I just love it now that you actually, I kind of shamed you.
Balls,
I had to shame you into giving them a halfway decent
Speaking of shaming, I see you finally got off your ass and corrected this list. Because
somebody's got to do it.
The Who's Right podcast is only listed once now.
There you go. Ped and Meller show with Matt Meller and Viva La Pedros, part of the Hush Your Face Network. I wish these guys would put out another show.
What, are they on hiatus?
I guess. They haven't put out anything in like a month.
Maybe on vacation.
They might be on vacation.
Maybe they're doing Who Are These Podcasts?
Oh, my God.
Maybe that's where they go.
Stop it with that fucking guy.
The Bro Ron's podcast with Big D and Little R, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
All right, so they did an episode, and they used some kind of art, episode art. And I think it was a person that was on a ventilator or something. And another podcast kind of came in and said, hey, listen, you think this is funny? Unless that's your family that's on the ventilator or whatever, it's not cool to take a person that's on a ventilator and put them in your episode art. I don't find that funny.
Don't listen.
Again, the social justice word bullshit. Like all of a sudden they're going to come in and school you and scold you. And it's a shame because I like the podcast.
People need to get a life.
I like the podcast that, the person that came in and did this. But now the more that I see her, outside of the podcast.
You are a cunt.
Wonder what you were reaching for there.
Yeah, just, I don't know. Yeah. But anyhow.
Some people need to get a life.
Right. The Rob and Slim show with Rob, Slim, and Sleepy Lucas, part of the Hush Your Face Network. Now, I heard that Matt Meller from Ped Meller is going to be on Rob and Slim next week. So he can co-host or he can come be a guest, but he can't get his own podcast out. Come on, boys. Let's snap it. Let's get it together here. Let's get an episode out. New year. Let's go.
The Horribly Awkward Show with Sean Fuller, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
The Story Behind with Emily Prokop. Emily started a new business where she now does editing for other podcasts, and she's killing it. And I think she's she's been on hiatus. She's had all kinds of problems with kids sick, the husband's sick, everybody's sick, holidays, all that other nonsense. So, and she's, starting a new company and stuff like that. So I wish her, the best of luck.
The brutal winter we're having here in the East.
Yeah. She has like these cool graphics on Instagram. I would see them and I was like, wow, that's really great idea. And the way she's doing this, and had the name of their company on there. You think I could see one of them right now? I mean, I'm scrolling like a monkey over here. The name of her company is ePodcast Productions. So go over and check out that if you need some editing, because she's one of the best podcasters I know, and she's a lot nicer than me. So go check that out.
She's not a social bully. The Toe on the Trigger with Daniel, Mike, and C3K, the Courtney 3000 acronym.
The Tom and Steve show, where they go in, they talk about conspiracy theories and all kinds of good stuff. I'm enjoying the show. Like it.
Look at you. Everyone Has a Podcast with Adam and Brian.
And the Bold and Belligerent podcast with Lauren, Josh, Mike, and Luke. Josh hasn't been on the show that much anymore. His wife just had a baby, so. But
just to let you know, I think Lauren is spelled with an E at the end.
Had to bring that up. I said it right. That's not enough for you. You got to correct me on a fucking letter. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's the magic that is me.
So I didn't say Lauren. I said Lauren, Josh, Mike, and Luke, and they're putting out episodes again. And
you said Josh hasn't been on in a while.
Josh hasn't been on, but Luke's been on fire.
Is he the one that just had the baby?
His wife just had a baby.
Okay, that's probably has a lot to do with it.
So Luke was on. He was working at Target, so he was as part of the Christmas help, and he thought he was like doing such a great job. And there seemed to be a little bit of drama going on, and then they started to find out about his podcast. And then the next thing you know, he found out that they were not going to keep him on, like they were letting him go after the season's over. So he's got like a week to go.
Right.
He went on the last episode and just started calling people. You know, everybody thinks you're a good manager. You think you're the cool guy. They're all laughing behind your back. Everybody hates you. And it was hysterical.
Did they decided to let him go because of the podcast?
Well, they didn't say anything. They just said, hey, listen, we're not going to need you anymore.
Right.
And, he's got a girlfriend out of that now. Like he found a girlfriend. He stole her from some other guy. There's a lot of drama going on there. But, the show is really good, and I'm enjoying it. Luke's, is a big part of the show. It's actually very funny and entertaining. So check it out.
Always is.
Always is.
If you enjoyed this show, then please do us a favor, tell a few friends, even share this episode on your social media accounts. It's easy to do. We are on these social media platforms. Find us on the Facebook at facebook.com/BrandXPodcast, on the Twitter at BrandXPodcast, and on Instagram at BrandXPodcast. Just like and follow us and share us with your friends. We would love it if you would join us in on the conversation. You can email us at brandxpodcast@gmail.com, or you can call into the Times Yours voicemail at 856-322-2473 and leave a message, and we'll feature you in our next Times Yours segment. Thank you so much for listening, and come on back next week for another exhilarating episode of the Brand X Podcast.
Will you shut the fuck up so I can end the recording?
That's it. We're just getting into it.